Blobby, 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 blobby. Rat fans, blobby. What is going on, everybody? You're tuning in to a new video here on Car Boot Collectors, coming at you today with another haul video courtesy of the flea market that I went to this past weekend. It was a scorcher of a day. It was really busy. There's a lot of people selling there. In comparison to how many stalls there were, I didn't really pick up a whole ton of stuff, but I did pick up some pretty cool things. So I thought, you know, let's make a little video to show you what I got. Pretty much everything I bought is actually out in front of you here, so yeah, a little tease of things to come. I've got a couple of anecdotes along the way as well, some old school car boot collectors, some little anecdotes. I've got some little drawings as well. You know, this is to aid my anecdotes, so a little tease for you there. Yeah, busy day. It was really rammed. It was really packed there. There was just tons and tons of sellers. It was really hot, and I think realistically, it's the last flea of the summer. I don't know how many more are going to be worth going to this year. As it gets into the winter and it gets a bit rainy, a bit cold, it does wind down a little bit. There's still a lot of people there, but it isn't as busy as it is in the summertime. So yeah, tons of people at this time. We got some little bits to show you. So yeah, we'll start off with the soft toys. This was one of the first things I picked up. A guy had a whole ton of teddy bears, soft toys. On a mat on the floor, and I saw the Roland rat and accomplices, and I thought, if they're in really nice condition, I have actually got a whole ton of this Roland rat sort of in stock currently. I bought a load of them from one person, a pack along, but he's really clean. You do find with these, the little rubber printing bits are usually missing, or so, you know, you've got one or two letters that have peeled off. But here's a really clean one, and I asked the price of them. They're really inexpensive, so I was like, yeah, I'll definitely take those, even though it's probably about the 10th one of these I've got. Blobby, Reggie's, yes, so we've got Roland Rat there. I've got it zoomed in a little bit far this time. I don't want to adjust it now, but yeah, little Reggie, I think that's his cousin. And another Reggie, which has got the head scarf, or the scarf on him. That one's missing it. But yeah, that was a really clean one. I don't tend to see the accomplices, the other characters, too often. So Roland Rat's not super rare. You do see them about, but they tend to usually be quite worn. Like, you know, some kids slept on it and they're flat. But that's a really good one as far as they go. So yeah, Roland Rat and 2 Reggies, and then from the same person picked up a Mr. Blobby. This is like a late 90s, early noughties one. It should have a little tush tag on it, which has been cut off. It probably would actually be on his bum as well, but it's been cut off. These are made by a PMS, and this is like a claw machine one. Probably a good 15 quid, something like that. I've had these before, quite popular. Mr. Blobby stuff is in demand here and there. There's definitely people out there who collect Blobby merch. So yeah, that was one of the first little purchases. We're going to get in now into some Jerry Anderson stuff. This, I think, was actually this might have been the first purchase of the day, actually. I can't quite remember. A guy had a whole table of diecast. Most of it was pretty rubbish, really. Clearly wasn't sort of, you know, in the zone of knowledge of cars. He had some semi-reasonable stuff, and most of it was trash. But they were £5 a piece, and I picked up these 3. And I said, would you do a tenner for the 3? And he was like, yeah, of course I'll do that. So we've got Captain Scarlet SPV. Now, this is wrecked, but eagle-eyed viewers will know why I picked this up. It's got the back unit on it, which is quite a hard bit to get. I've picked these up quite often in this condition, and when they've got the little back unit on, they're well worth having for a few quid, because that bit alone is quite expensive. You know, you can unscrew that little bit there alone. I do typically sell this for around 30 quid, as long as it's got all the tracks on it. I think it's a bit that's hard to reproduce because there's so many pieces on it. So you can buy reproductions, but the reproductions are like 30 quid, so people would rather pay 30 quid for an original one. A wrecked SPV, minimal value to that once that's been removed, but that's what I wanted it for. And then we've got 2 MSVs, maximum security vehicles, also Captain Scarlet. I haven't had one of these for a little while. And it's a shame, because this one's actually not too bad. That one's actually quite clean as far as it goes. It's just missing, you know, one of the doors is missing. So yeah, one very well-loved one and one slightly well-loved one. This one has actually got the ramps in there as well, which you see normally are missing. They're both pretty tatty. but they're restoration projects. Someone will buy them. There's different variations with the wheels that people look out for. I think there's a fairly typical standard one, and there is one that has a blue interior, which is worth looking out for. That's another one which is quite hard to get hold of, hard to get your mitts on. So there's that. What should we go with next? We'll go with this little bundle of Anderson stuff, and then I'll sprinkle in one of my fun anecdotes, one of my tales from the Flea, tales from the booter, as Stu used to call them. Yeah, Guy had a whole ton of Jerry Anderson stuff. Now, I'm going to be honest, I know I picked up a massive collection of this stuff last year. I think this was one of the lots I didn't manage to buy, because I'm sure some of my stuff came in these little tubs. So I think these are probably, or the stuff this guy had was probably from the same source. And I do remember when I bought all that Jerry Anderson stuff, I left behind a couple of Tracy Islands, so big, but they were mint in box. And I wonder if these might have been stored within the box of one of the Tracy Islands, because I would have picked these up if I'd seen them when I bought all the other stuff. But, you know, that's just a hypothesis. It might be completely inaccurate. These might be from somewhere else, and it's just a coincidence they're in little plastic tubs. But, yeah, he had loads of these little tubs of things, and he had quite a few that had like the Matchbox figures and the Vivid Captain Scarlet figures. I've still got quite a lot of that stuff. I didn't really want to, I probably should have bought them in hindsight, but I went for the micro vehicles, because as much as I've got quite a few of these at the moment, they do hold some semi-reasonable value. And I have got the figures, and one of the tubs has got the figures as well. So anyway, digress. We've got the mole. The mole, a little bit faded, but it is complete. You see, it should be that colour, but it's that. We got two of the Fireflies. Big ups to Ball Sniffer. He's a big fan of the Firefly. I have to make sure I say that every time. Two Fireflies. They're in really nice condition. Yeah, Firefly, another one exactly the same. And then we got the Hoods sub, which is a little bit more uncommon, really. It's one of the, I haven't got one of these. I didn't have one in that big set, big collection. So, but what I also quite like was one of the little tubs he had that had all of the, well, a bunch, not all of, but a bunch of the figures. So you've got a bunch of figures there. Some of them are in, I think there's one in there that's missing its legs. Yeah, the diver one there. But yeah, certainly handy to have those. Those ones with the little visors. The visors tend to usually be missing, like that one there is missing the visor. Handy stuff to have. I've got tons of spares of these still from that big collection. But it's always nice to have the figures, because I'll run out of those at some point, and then I'll have loads of figureless ships. So it's nice to have the figures. Although to be honest, they are of value on their own. There is a little bit of value in that pot of minifigures. They are hard to get hold of. So yeah, let's go with an anecdote. We'll sprinkle in an anecdote here, provide with this visual aid. I was walking by a stand, and I overheard a guy saying something that piqued my interest, so I hung around and eavesdropped for a little bit. He had this massive weather vane there that looked exactly like this. There was a couple of wine mums looking at it, and he was like, oh, let me tell you a story. That belonged to Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. That's why he's got a pipe and he's on a horse. He had that commissioned specially. And the ladies were just like, I don't know who that is. I barely know who it is, but I thought it was interesting. I didn't take a photo, so that's visual aid. Okay, anecdote barely worth hearing, let alone telling. Railway stuff, boring. We'll just get through this really quickly. So this is from, you can see me there, Bachmann Class 45 locomotive. It does look to be new. I didn't get it out and have a look. There is a buffer in there which is just like loose, rattling around, but it isn't off this model, so I don't know why that's in there. Probably shouldn't have bothered buying this one. It's 25 quid. This is a, when you see there, I mean, it retailed at one point for nearly 80. This is a model that's probably worth about 50 if it's in running condition, but you know, 25 with the gamble that it might not be running. Probably should have just left that one alone, and the box is a bit faded up as well. I don't think that one has the DCC chip in. I think it's just DCC ready. Maybe it does. If it is a DCC fitted, it might be worth a smidge more. But there you go, and see me in the reflection there. Big ups to the people who watched my latest video that went up. I don't really know what happened there. I made a couple of my old videos public that have been on my account, private for a long time, and one of them, it uploaded it as a brand new video for some reason. So a few people commented, were confused, like, "Oh, I didn't realise you were like 17. I've been, I think it was the Widder C. Big up the Widder C. It's like, I've been watching your channel for 17 years. That's mad." Yeah, that was a video of me from absolutely years ago. I don't know why it went up as a new video. It's really odd, but I did appreciate the comments. It seemed to get a fair few views and a few comments on it, which I appreciate. So if you're watching, leave a comment here. I do like reading them. I do like people interacting. It's a bit, old school YouTube, the old days when everyone used to comment on each other's videos. Jeff Solo, back in the day, Toys, Y'all, Grim, Black Rabbit. Big ups. Yeah, I do miss days where everyone used to sort of comment on everyone's stuff, and there's a little bit of a community going on down in the comments on videos. Don't tend to see that so much anymore, which is a shame. I'm just as bad though. I rarely leave comments. I do here and there though. I'm trying to get better with leaving a comment if I watch someone's video. So anyway, digress. More railway stuff, which is boring, but I'm going to show it just for completeness sake of the video. Guy had loads of locomotives and they're all priced up individually as you'd expect them to be, but then he had some boxes of little smalls and accessories, and he was like, "Oh, that's like the cheap boxes, whatever, everything in there's pretty cheap. You pull out a little bundle or do a deal." And these are in there, which is real like an overlooked thing to be in like a bargain box. Some brand new Hornby DCC decoders. I mean, they're like £30 retail, £25–30 sort of area. So 2 of those in the bargain box, brand new and sealed, I was quite happy with. A brass coach side kit made by Falcon. As I said before, these old brass sides, I bought some of this stuff at the last Flea. Some of the old railway heads do still like these old kits. They're so expensive back in the day. I mean, that retailed for nearly 11 quid, and that would have been like probably early 80s. There are still some old railway heads that are into those old kits, and they're hard to get. So they do hold the value. Can be super slow value. Super slow sellers, but they do hold a value. A little set of minifigures, Woman with Baby and 3 Drunken Men from John Hine Studios. I don't really know what that's all about. I don't really know why I picked it up. But like little tiny railway figures. Such a massive box for something so tiny. And then we've got a DCC chip tester, which comes in a really useful box. Quite a handy thing to have, but it's probably not something I need to hang on to. This is like to test, well, as it says, test your DCC chips. And there is actually one in there. That's another Hornby used DCC chip. It's boring stuff. We're going to move on to the next thing. It's about a £50 item second hand. It's a nice little thing to find in a bargain box. Corgi the Saint. Corgi Junior. Card's a little bit warped, but that should press out. It's a really nice condition one. I found this in a box of junk. This was in like a jumble fodder box, and I thought like, oh, brilliant. I hope that'll be like a couple of quid. The guy, I think he wanted 20 for it, and I was like, it's a little bit more than I want to spend. It's probably worth 30, 40, maybe a little less. These go through phases where sometimes there's loads on the market, sometimes there's not as many. But he did end up selling it to me for 12, so that's not too bad. Not too bad, a really nice one. Once that's pressed out, that'll be in really, really nice condition. Some pipe tampers. This was a bit of a blunder. I've done really well with brass pipe tampers before. These are sort of like the Funko Pop of their day. These were various schemes to collect these figural pipe tampers. You get them with historical characters, with fictional characters. Those are all Dickensian characters. These are all quite common ones. I mean, some of these I've had before and I have sold for sort of 60, 80 quid. But these are all quite common ones. Very, very readily available. Probably not worth a tenner a piece. I paid 20 for the 5, so that was a bit of a blunder. It's probably about 50p's worth of scrap value there. They'll sell eventually, but yeah, just you really want to be getting the rarer ones of those. Mego, Planet of the Apes tunic. Guy had a whole load of vintage Action Man. He wanted 100 quid for it. It was a good deal, but I just wasn't really a buyer for it. There was a few figures all in pretty... It was a good deal, really. 3 figures, a tank, and a whole load of clothes for 100 quid. But I just pulled that out and I said, would you do that for 3 quid? And he was like, yeah, go on then. I think I've got the figure that belongs to, so that's a handy spare, but it's worth a few quid. As is. Footy patches. This was the biggest purchase of the day. This was the only thing I bought, really, that cost some Spondoolies. Everything else was fairly inexpensive. I got a whole load of factory new old stock footy patches. So I've just got one of each design here. You can see splash patches, 1970s, all of these old footy badges. Some of these I've got a lot of, some of them I've got only like one or two of, but they're all new old stock, factory overstock, which is quite cool, from the late 70s. So tons, I've got loads of these, of some of them, not all of them. These are quite nice, the sort of almost military-esque ones. Hibernian FC, West Ham, and Hereford. The sort of thing, if I find one of those in a job lot of badges, I'm quite happy, because they're normally sort of, you'd expect them to sell quite quickly for 5-10 quid each. But yeah, I've got so many of them. Some of these I've got a real lot of. There's a little wad of the West Ham ones. That's not even all of that one. There's a whole box of those from a dude. I'm pretty sure the dude who I bought this from works at the dump, so they probably came from the landfill, I would imagine. Only a couple more things. Should we do an anecdote? Last anecdote. I saw a little model that I quite liked. It was like a bronze sculpture of an island. Looks a bit like this, a little bronze island on a sort of polished stone base, and I thought it was really cool. I quite like little thing, you know, little tiny worlds. Who lives there? This is what I'm thinking. And I picked it up, and you get people at the Flea who, as soon as you cast your eye on something in passing, they're giving you the sales pitch of, oh, were you looking at this? Oh yeah, they're really rare, they are, yeah. And you're like, I wasn't even looking at it, and then you feel awkward because they've given you a whole sales pitch, and you're just like, oh, cheers, I didn't ask. But some people get a bit shitty with that. And this guy, I went and had a look at it. I picked it up, and it was like, I think it was 60 quid, but it was, I was just seeing if there was a signature on it or something. I didn't quite value it at 60 quid. Picked it up, put it down, and he come over and said, oh, that's a Maltese island, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're really rare. Oh, I've looked up, they're from whatever. And I was like, okay, cheers. I'm not really interested in it. And then he goes, oh yeah, no, of course. You're just here window shopping like everyone else. No one's buying anything. And I'm thinking, like, I've got 2 bags of stuff here that I've bought today. Yeah, I think he was just in a bad mood, and I thought I could probably try and wind this man up by picking up everything and putting it down, whatever. But I thought I'm not in the mood. I'm gonna leave it alone, or else he's gonna get really angry. But little one, he was really moody man though. I was like, yeah, I'm not really too enjoying. He's like, oh, don't bother wasting your breath. I've heard it all before. You're just here browsing like everyone else. And I'm like, oh, piss off. If I've been in a worse mood, I would have been like, oi, rein it in. But alas, I was in a good mood because I bought some nice things. Only 2 more little things to go now. Some Britons, although these are actually Herald. Very early Britons plastic figures. There was a whole load of lead figures there, farmyard stuff, zoo stuff. And these were just scattered amongst them. And I thought they were going to be quite expensive, but it ended up only being a £5 for all of these. There's a Britain's range of products, a very early plastic. They might be late 50s, early 60s, and they're like sort of different regiments, all in this pose. That I think they're only in the catalogue for 1 year, maybe 2 years. So you've got Sikh infantry, and then I think it's Highland infantry. And they're quite uncommon. They're not necessarily valuable, but you don't see them, so I thought I'd take those. I've sold the Sikh infantry for, like, I've had some really nice ones before that have gone for like £25, £28 for one figure. But they're all complete, a little bit of paint wear, they're not too bad. So that was well worth having for a £5. That was the first thing I found, that was the very first thing I bought. And then final thing, no, not by no means the most exciting, we've got a little bag of badges. I thought I'd overpaid on these, but I don't think I did too bad. The guy wanted a £5 each, which is not necessarily bad, but it's more than I sort of like to spend on them. I prefer finding nice badges when they're in a box and they're 50p each, and you have a rummage and pull out some gems. These were probably in a box and they'd already been pulled out, sort of thing, by the dude selling them. So a few punk ones, a few sort of post-punk ones. We got little angelic upstarts one. Now that is semi-sought after badge. A couple of stiff little fingers. I was drawn to this one, the Beat one, the What Happened. That's their second album. But that is like a modern fake one, which is a shame. I think it is just like a fantasy made up badge. It's not like a reproduction, it's just something someone's made. So that is, I thought it was unoriginal when I got it, but yeah, definitely confirmed it is a modern fake one. And that's a really nice one, the Specials 1980 tour, and that is original. Usually if they've got a bit of tarnishing on the back and they're not plastic, it's a fair game, they're probably alright. But I was a bit dubious. As soon as there's a fake one, you do start thinking, is that a modern fake one or is that just in really good condition? I think it is an original. But yeah, I paid 25 quid for that little pile, which it was a bit 50-50. I didn't really want to spend that on them, but I didn't want to leave them behind. So here's one of those. Some stuff here was absolute bargain. It all balances out. It's still about £2 a badge, £2.50 a badge. It's not that bad. But yeah, there you go. That's my wares from this particular time at the Flea. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soon. Please leave a comment if you got this far, telling me what your favourite thing is. Nice to see you all. Cheers. Oh, I didn't press the button.